Hey guys, I'm back for video diary number 19, and you'll notice that a few things are rather different with this one. One being that I'm in my apartment at Spruce Street Baptist Church. Two, I'm actually shooting my video with my iPad because my laptop is ancient and not in a good state for editing videos. I was actually making one yesterday about the films I'll be in the film fest this year for Summit University, and it just went kaput and my video files are now gone. So until I'm back at home with my powerhouse PC, all the videos I make will be done on this little puppy in my iPad. Little guy. With that being said, there's not too much I can do as far as effects go, but if I can get this onto my laptop for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, I can add some music to the video, and that will make it a little more interesting, so you'll know if I did that, if there's music playing right now. And if not, I'm feeling kind of awkward right now. So hopefully it worked out. Yeah, being in the apartment, there's a number of weird things going on. The refrigerator makes noise, there's some sound going on in the wall or the ceiling, I'm really not sure which one. But if random noises come on during this video, that's why. My last video diary actually was not long ago. Every video diary I say, the last one I made was 5 years ago, you know, something crazy like that. But the last one was literally only a few weeks back. And it's not 2055 like I said it would be, that's kind of funny. But as I mentioned last time, during the next video diary I plan to talk about something specific, and maybe based on the way I'm dressed today, and considering what the title of this video will be named, you probably can guess what that is, and that is my student teaching, which has been a whirlwind of an experience. There's so much to talk about, but only so much time for this video. I'm going to try to keep it simple, but you know how that works. Normally it comes out being a lot longer than I planned it to be. I should probably begin this way. Somehow a number of my students have managed to find my YouTube channel, and that has resulted in some pretty awkward class experiences, such as me telling my students, no, you can't go on my YouTube channel, we have far more important things to do in class today. Yeah, I never thought I'd be telling people that. So with that being said, there are a number of things I have to do for their sake, which are the shoutouts. I do have an extremely awesome 10th grade honors class who's very talkative, but I still like you guys. I have another 10th grade honors class who's not so talkative and very difficult to get into discussions with, but I also like all of you. And I have an 11th grade class who is either full of energy or half asleep, depending on the time of the day. And you guys are also stinking awesome, so there you go. I think that covers everybody I need to. Alright, introduction's done. Let's get into the meat of my student teaching. Crazy experience, crazy stuff. It's just an endless cycle of learning more about myself. Teachers have always told me, all of you students are learning a lot, but believe me, I'm a teacher and I also learn a lot from all of you. And I sort of thought that was a silly thing to say. But honestly, it's so true. I keep waiting for my graduation thinking that's going to be the break where I finally get to relax, but honestly, when I graduate, my mind is still going to be racking itself over because there's so much for me to take in and process from what I've learned from my student teaching. It's insane. I've learned so much about life. And not because I've loved every moment of it. Student teaching has been so hard, so difficult, so trying, exhausting. I was talking with my good buddy Derek and I said, I just don't know the right word to give it because it's been so great, so terrible, so energizing, so tiring, so confusing, and all around it's been good for me. I just don't know how to describe that. And being Derek, he said, you know what, that sounds kind of lifey, kind of like life. I think lifey is a good word, and I agree with him, lifey. Student teaching is a lifey experience. You learn a lot about life. And here's the thing, I was always a good student who tried really hard, got pretty good grades. I could jump through all the hoops, right? I could take classes, I could study for the test, I could do well. I was capable of jumping through hoops that were expected of me to accomplish. When you go out into the real world, it's not about tests, it's not about graded activities, or if you can fill in the right answer on a multiple choice test. It's about, are you capable of doing what you've been studying all this time? And I may have mentioned to some of my classes in subtle ways that I'm not really all that much of an English person in every aspect, but the truth is, I don't really feel like an English person as a whole. In fact, teaching was the only form of ministry that I felt that God could use me for at this time in life. And BBC only offered the core subjects, so if it wasn't English, then it would be math, science, or history, and those three are not my thing either, but English was a little more so my thing. The refrigerator's back if you can hear that. I've always been way into technology things, you know, video, photography, Photoshop, Illustrator, all these fun things you can do through media on the computer. YouTube, obviously, that's what I'm doing now. I love creative opportunities. I like making videos. I thought maybe English has some connections. I like writing. I do like to write. I actually don't like reading all the times. That might be a surprise. but I'm really not much of a reader. I like writing, expressing ideas, but I thought maybe English is the best way for me to go to have a ministry through teaching if what I really like about it is the creativity and seeing that in students and promoting that creativity. That's what I like to do. But really, English as a whole, I have never determined or deemed to be my thing. I'm not so good at grammar. I'm a very slow reader. I need to study about 85% of what I teach every day. You know, I study one night, I come in the next day, I am giving you this poem that I knew nothing about 24 hours ago. So as we're teaching the wonderful subjects of poetry, right, wonderful weeks and weeks of poetry, in the back of my mind I'm still thinking, why can't I be teaching video courses? Why can't I be teaching computer art courses? Why do I have to rack all these kids' brains over things that I can't truly find myself finding meaning in either? You know, how do I get them excited about something that I'm not truly as excited about as I should be? I'm not really a grammarian. I'm not really an English person all around. And I knew this was coming. I looked at my student teaching and said, you know what? It's 16 weeks. I can make it through. I don't know how I'm going to like it, but I can make it happen. I'm not really an English person, but I'll make it happen in one way or another. And sure enough, 3 days left. You know, I'm basically done teaching too. By God's grace, I've made it through. I'm very grateful for that. But coming into my student teaching, I had many preconceived notions about what it would be like. And sure enough, many of them actually did turn out to be true. Here's one thing I predicted. Teaching is tough. And many parts of it do not come naturally to me. And through many of the mistakes that I made and the advice that I was given, especially early into my student teaching, I had to go back and look at myself and say, how could I become a teacher? How can I improve this? Take my objectives, take my essential questions, my standards, my big ideas. How can I incorporate that into my lesson in a way that my students are actually getting what I'm trying to tell them? It didn't come naturally to me at all. I might know a thing or two about English, but I had to teach myself so much about it as I was doing teaching. I had to go back and learn things because I might look at a poem or an activity. I might understand that as well as an average student should, but until I knew it well enough to teach it, I had to go back home and master it myself. And preconceived notion number 3. This is one that I am scared to admit because I think it could be true. I told you that I have always wanted to do video education, computer art, classes that have to do with creativity and media and technology, all that kind of stuff. And that's still somewhat the case. But as I think more and more about what I have been doing and what I predicted might be true but did not want to admit at all, it seems very obvious to me that an English classroom has so much more power in showing the care between student and teacher that I want to have. English is so conversation-based. It focuses so much on the individual student. It's not just let me watch you make a project and I'll give you an A or an F according to how well you did. English is, I see you're struggling with this. I understand that struggle because that was me last night trying to understand this poem. I've been through students' victories, their successes, their A+s. I've been through students' failures, literally in their grades, misunderstandings with the assignments, with the rubrics of the curriculum. I've been through the goods and the bads of these people. And that has made a connection that I might never ever have in a video classroom. As I said, I went into education because I wanted it to be a form of ministry. I wanted to have an effect on the next generation where I could disciple them, where I could be an authority and say, I have learned this and I want to help you learn it too, but not just that. I want to make you a better man or a better woman of God, somebody who can serve Him with your life. And I wanted to reflect that example to my students. I'm also coming to learn that discipleship is not an easy thing to do in school, especially at public schools. And they actually, obviously, encourage it at Christian schools. And not only is discipleship hard in that environment, but in video technologies, where am I going to teach people what it means to think? Where am I going to teach people what this author said, how he or she was wrong, and what we're meant to do as Christians? I can't do that. I can just show them videos. And sure, maybe we can talk about those videos and what lessons they teach us. I'm not knocking that either because I think that's a great idea. But maybe God wanted me to go through with English education so I could see the benefit in this, the benefit of my own ideals, and maybe I can find a middle ground that's equally appropriate and pleasing to God, where I can combine communications with media, with videos, with art, and combine that with English, with responses, with thinking. There is an overlap somewhere and I need to find this because I'm just about to graduate And this is very possibly the way that I could serve God through my life, right? I mean, English and video, there's a connection somewhere. Maybe I can teach several classes. Maybe that would be adequate. But I'm coming to realize, painfully so, that my own ideals of being a video teacher might not have as profound of an impact on the next generation as what I could do potentially through English. And that's given me a lot more respect for this subject. And here's the real thing. English class is hard to teach. You grade papers. You grade tests. You tell students you did a terrible job of communicating your thoughts to me. And it makes me feel like a jerk. I hate failing people. I really do. I hate saying I'm sorry it's late, so now you get this many points off. But I realized in order to enforce my main ideas, my purpose, I need to teach people responsibility. And I need to teach people how to communicate, you know, come to me and explain why this is late, why you didn't understand. And when that disconnect is there, it gives me an opportunity to stop and really teach. Not just content, but to teach what really, really matters. And that's responsibility, that's maturity, that's bravery, that's confidence to approach me and say, listen, I want to challenge this, or I want to ask about this. I want to say, why did I lose points? Or I want to explain why I wasn't able to get this to you on time. And that, I appreciate that so much. And the English classroom has taught me quite a deal of stuff, honestly. So hey, it's easy to say God has a purpose, right? God has a purpose in this, why you're doing what you don't want to do. I didn't want to teach English. And people would say God has a purpose for this. But often it's very hard for me to see that until I look back on it and actually reflect. And I'm not even done with my student teaching, but I can already look back and reflect and say, I'm so glad that I went through English class. I'm so glad I had to teach English classes. Because if I would have had it my way, I might have been behind a computer. You got an A, you got an F. But in an English classroom, I have conversations, and I'm able to voice what God has taught me through those conversations in an effort and an attempt to disciple those of the next generation who I really, really care about. So listen guys, I'm gonna wrap this up here. And technically this is my last video diary. I've been doing these since freshman year of BBC. This is the end of my senior year at BBC, which is technically Summit University now. And I'm gonna tie the knot right here and cut it off. I mean, I'll keep on making videos, obviously. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy doing for fun. I love doing it. And I'm sure I'll keep on making videos like this where I'm just talking to the camera and telling you what's been up in my life. I'll probably call it something different. Ryan's rants have come to my mind. I don't know if that sounds stupid to you, but hey, double R, alliteration. That's an English word. That's an English word that I relearned this semester through my student teaching. Alliteration. Alliteration, not just common letters, but common sounds can also be alliteration, right? Common sound. But yes, this is my last video diary. At least the last done in this style. I think I'm going to do one more, but it's going to be very different than what I typically do. So technically, this is my last time to really communicate my ideas so straightforwardly as this. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, you look at my first video diary, it was using my laptop, just kind of holding it around. Look, look, there's a squirrel over here, stupid stuff like that. Now my iPad right now is actually on my laptop as a base, because my laptop is basically a paperweight. That's what it amounts to today. It can surf the web, sometimes work for Word documents, but it freezes and dies on me. My laptop is 5 years old now, I believe, and it's come to the end, right? So is this video series. It's come to an end. So here we go, we're wrapping it up. I'm going to end this series with a phrase that will be incomplete, and it'll make sense, possibly, later. So here we go, ready? My time at BBC has been some of the most wonderful days of my life. I love you guys. I'm going to miss you so much. You are my BBC family. God has stretched me. God has used me. And now, never forget that God has a great plan for your life. He loves you dearly. And keep on trusting in Him. Jesus is the vine. You guys are awesome.